are some reasons why people cheat. And I picked this up from an article that was actually published on the Your Tango site. All right. Why a person cheats. And this article was written by a woman who was a serial adulterer who got her life together. So she actually started researching her own life and learning about herself. And she wrote an article and published it through Your Tango on why people cheat. And it's from a serial adulterous woman. So I thoroughly enjoyed her writings. And of course, in my research, I think there's other things that validate some things she says. So I thought I would use this as our platform to talk about why. I just kind of ended it with the last one. But the first thing she says is people cheat because they're looking to end a relationship. That's exactly why they do it. If I do this, this is the most egregious betrayal. This is the most egregious betrayal. If I do this, you will feel betrayed. You will be so hurt. I have sent the message. I don't want us. I want to be what I want to be. And it's a great way to send a message because it's very difficult. It's very difficult to deal with that level of betrayal, to deal with that level of rejection. In my research for this, it's interesting. I found 3 or 4 places written by different folks who are professionals in the field who kind of said the same thing. And essentially, I'm going to say it this way, that adultery doesn't kill the marriage. What kills it is how a couple handled the effects of the adultery. It was their inability to handle the pain and the hurt and the anger. That's what led to the divorce. But those couples who were able to navigate those waters and deal with it in healthy ways found that they could save the marriage and the marriage could be vibrant down the road. I know many couples who've done our intensive, my 3-day intensive, who are evidence of that. So number one, she says that one reason why people cheat, it's an easy way to end the relationship. All right. Number two, she says for some people, they cheat because they just find it difficult to resist the temptation. They find it difficult to resist the temptation. That biological urge to merge is pretty strong, isn't it? It's biological. And that urge to merge overtakes some people because they don't know how to regulate that part of them. They don't have the self-control and they just give into it impulsively. And so she said that some people actually cheat because they don't know how to resist temptation. You know, if you find it difficult to do that, you can think of it. Is there an addiction here? Is this a compulsive behavior? Are you impulsive and don't know how to regulate this part of your humanity? I would strongly recommend that you find help with counseling to learn to regulate the lower order animal brain, the emotional brain, with a higher order brain, so you don't give in to impulse. You don't give in to compulsions, that you're able to think through what you're biologically feeling and make good decisions. Another reason she says people cheat, she said for some people, they cheat because it's not about the relationship. It's purely about sex. It's purely about sex. And you understand, the person who cheats because it's purely about the sex is using another person. They're using them for their own benefit. They're using them for what they want. That person becomes an object. They become an object. The body becomes an object for me to consume to get my needs met. I think this is probably one of the most difficult ones because a lot of times when men are involved in adultery where it's purely about the sex, the woman that he's with, the adulterous woman, if you will, isn't the same way. Now, it's not to say there aren't women who commit adultery, not for sex. There are women, I've worked with some, there are women sex addicts out there pursuing sexual relationships, even in the form of adultery, because they're acting out their sexual addiction. I would really encourage you, if you're struggling in this area, or if it is in your marriage or you know someone, really understand the nature of sexual addiction, the draw, and what this is really about. A lot of sex addicts, men and women, get kind of labeled as dirty, the different names. They're really addicts who are in need of recovery, and they're hurting and they're struggling, you see. But for some people, it's purely about the sex. For the narcissist, the person with narcissistic tendencies, it's really about the sex, because the narcissist doesn't really care about people much, right? They care about themselves. And so it can be different reasons for it, motivations behind it. But for some, it's purely about the sex, whatever the motive is. Number 4 reason is because she says there is a difference between lust and love. There's a difference between lust, which is visceral, it's primal, it's about consuming something. The word lust means strong desire for, in love. Some people confuse lust with love. One of the things that Craig Knockin in his book on the addictive personality talks about that in the early stages of the formation of an addictive personality, when an addict drinks alcohol and gets high from the alcohol or high from drugs, all right, or they realize, hey, I can shift my mood through looking at porn or masturbating, right? Meeting somebody online, I can shift my mood. That emotional shift, all right, the intensity of that feeling, Knockin points out, is confused as intimacy. The addict brain confuses intensity, that strong feeling that you get from acting out, with intimacy. And because the brain confuses intensity with intimacy, I want that feeling. I feel more accepted. I feel more loved. I feel more valuable when I'm acting out. And they're pursuing the intensity experience. And the brain is confusing it as being intimate, connected. It's a form of self-deception and self-betrayal, because whenever we turn to an object to feel loved, we're betraying our own humanity. Humans can only feel loved in healthy human relationships. Objects cannot meet human emotional needs. But addicted people, and not necessarily all not just addicts, some non-addicts as well, are looking for the experience because their brain is confused the experience as intimacy, love. Then you have to be able to separate out, this is just lust or passion. Love is something very, very different. Lust and passion is about me. Love is about others. Love is about the us, the relationship itself. And to love well, you have to be able to relate well. And then our curriculum. Because if you can't relate well, you can't love well. But to love well, you have to become a healthy, mature adult at the emotional level.